Hi, it's Sarah Jane here at Natural Heating, and today we are about to look at Hwam 3740C, which has been fitted into a brand new property in this development behind me, which is built by Devlin's, Lee Devlin, the Devlin Developments, who make some beautiful new houses. So we're just going to take a look. These guys have just moved in and do a video of it. So this is the house here, which is a bungalow. It's a lovely new property. I'm just going to get some stuff in my car and take a look inside. So, close the door before the dog comes in. You coming back in? So this is Martin, who's one of the fitters who's fitted this stove and fits all the stoves for Lee Devlin. And Sharon and David, congratulations on your new home. So this is the Hwam 3740C over here, which is in grey. And that flue system was actually black, but Martin has painted it grey to match the stove. And as you can see, it's on a granite hearth, a granite teardrop hearth, which is really compact in the corners. And this stove can go as close as about 3 inches to combustibles, 100mm off the back corners. This is on a 5-inch twin wall, but it can also fit on a 6. So it's worth showing you the hearth. This is honed granite, and the beauty of honed granite is it's not as shiny and has a dulled finish. Now this is grey, but you'll see if I damp it with a cloth, it goes almost an anthracite colour. Now, if you want it to stay like that, you can achieve that colour just by spraying a little bit of WD-40 or baby oil on it and giving it a light wipe. We've just done this with a slightly damp cloth, so it will dry off in the next couple of minutes and go back to where it was. But it does give it a slightly glossier finish and changes the colour, makes it darker. So if you've ever got any stains or anything that you want to get rid of on it, touch the WD-40. I really like the look of it when it's oiled, but some people wanted that paler colour, and the paler colour is closer to the grey of a Hwam or a Heta if you decide not. Another little friend who's about to have a nice fire. Alright, okay, so in this stove you've got a log storage compartment underneath, which can also feed through for direct air. We have got a riddle mechanism for the grate, and we have a dial for our air control. So all the air control is done by that knob. And we have a large collection ash pan on a roller. Now, we can burn this pretty much all day, and you'll only have about a teacup of ash in that ash pan. One thing that is quite important to know, and a lot of people used to do with older stoves, is they used to let the ash pan fill up totally and not empty the ash pan until it was overflowing. Never let your ash pans overflow on these, because what happens is if you get ash down the back of the pan, that drawer doesn't locate totally on the front. And if it's a fraction of a millimetre off, it's going to suck in extra air, which will make your glass all black. So if you're having an issue with glass getting dirty and it's not due to wet fuel, pull this cassette out and just put the hoover in, the vacuum cleaner, and hoover out all that area underneath just in case there's any spillage. But the main thing is just empty your ash box out regularly, and it should never ever happen. You got a nice fire in a minute. You're cute, aren't you?
It'll take me about 7 hours to do it with a push mower, I think.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do is, we've got small logs for starting. We always like to cut the starting logs to about 2.5 inches square. It's not about the volume, it's about getting the temperature up nice and quick and correctly. So I'm going to put 4, I think I've got 4. She's only giving me 3, I think. 3 or 4 small logs in the bottom, and then a pile of kindling. We've got 4 small logs in the inside here, and then we'll put a pile of kindling on top. So we're just putting our kindling stack on the top, and I'll put 1 fire lighter in there, just like so, and then some more kindling. Now, This stove actually only wants to burn about 1 to 1.5 kilos of wood an hour. At the moment it looks like I've got a lot of fuel in there, but that isn't actually any more than 1 to 1.5 kilos. And the whole point is we've got a cylinder stove with a big high door. So we want to heat that chimney up as fast as possible, and it's going to burn from the top down. So it's like rolling snowball down a hill. We've got a great big tall long flue that's full of cold air. So what people typically always did was put the wood on the bottom, the kindling on the bottom. So the kindling's the fastest burning part of the fire. So what would happen is the kindling catches nice and fast, sets your logs on fire, but it's also the weakest part of the fire. So then the logs crash down on top of the kindling, the pressure in the chimney drops, it puts your fire out and blows all the smoke out the door, which is what we don't ever want to happen. We want this to light first time every time. So instead, we have the kindling on the top. So we're going to light that fire lighter, and it's going to slowly light and heat in that chimney. And it's about getting the pressure up and pushing all the cold air out without dropping the pressure and letting it push the hot air back into the room. So we do not want to open that door. Once we lit it, we're going to leave it. I usually have my blowtorch, and I've left it in the office, and Martin's given me one. Yeah, I'm not going to do very well on that. The match is out before I even got to the fire. This is why I don't usually use matches when I do videos. I've got a man with a blowtorch because I forgot mine, and he just happened to have one here, and I can't do matches with one hand. So we're just lighting that fire lighter. Extreme. You don't need, shut it over, but not quite shut. Right, okay. So what we're doing here is we've lit that stove, and we've got the door slightly ajar, and our air control vent is fully open. We just shut the bottom door. Right, so we've got the door open, and we've lit the fire lighter, so the kindling is now going to start to catch. And as soon as that is developing just a little bit in the next few seconds, we're just going to shut the door and then wait, because it's all going to burn itself down. So I can already see that the kindling is starting to light. So I'm just going to shut that now. And then we're just going to leave her for a bit. So the whole point with this is our fire is going to develop quite quickly. So that kindling's going to catch, and then the next layer of kindling's going to catch, and then the next layer of kindling's going to catch, and then our logs, and then onto that bottom layer. So what you're seeing at the moment is carbon, because the baffle is starting to go black on the inside, because we're starting to create some smoke because it's cold. Now, these fires are vermiculite. Vermiculite is a volcanic material, so it's insulated to 1200 degrees centigrade, which pushes all the heat out into the room. The stove is a convection stove, which means it's a casing. It's got an outside casing over the box, so it's pushing all the heat out the front, very little heat out to the sides, which is why we can go so close to combustibles and in corners against plasterboard and the likes. And that's going to start to take quite quickly, and then start heating our chimney. So there you go, you can see it's picking up now. And as the layers of kindling catch, it catches fire to the logs on the inside, and then burns that pile down. Now that pile is probably going to last a good 40 minutes, maybe even longer on that first burn. So we shouldn't need to open that door again, and we certainly don't want to turn it down, because we're turning down the speed until we've heated the whole chimney up. So what you're seeing in the inside is it's going black in the inside, and that black is carbon. And as that carbon burns off, it's going to go white and come back to being completely cream in the inside. So until it's completely cream, we don't want to try and turn it down at all. But you shortly see it's starting to go white on the top, like a little penny or a circle or sparkles even, and then that'll get bigger and bigger and bigger and spread till it all comes back to being cream. But as the kindling burns down, it catches the logs, and it's dead quick, and you've got a beautiful fire view already. You see how quick that's already starting to develop, because it picks up an incredible speed very quickly, and this is the easiest method to light these fires. So it's starting to heat up quite nicely now, and if you look closely on the inside, on this side, you will see the baffle is starting to clear. I'll turn around and you'll see it happens quite. So that bit there where the highest amount of flame is, and it's not easy with the reflection, I can see it through my phone screen. You'll see it starting to get whiter there, and that's going to start to clear really quite rapidly as that chimney heats up. The stove itself is going to be cold to the touch for quite a wee while until the outer casing heats up, because there's an inner and an outer to diffuse the heat off the wall. She's going to have a wee fire. She'll like this once it's heated up. So it's nice and warm today. We don't actually need a fire on today, but...
You've got an hour and a half before you know what.
Yeah. Walk or dinner.
She's terrible.
Yeah, it's starting to clean down quite nicely on the inside. So what we don't want to do is open that door, and we've got lots of burn time on there for that chimney to heat up, because if you open that door, you're going to drop the air pressure within the chimney. You drop the air pressure within the chimney and the smoke comes back down. So we want enough fuel in a cylinder to light it and get up to temperature that we're not having to reopen that door. But while that's heating up, I'm going to show you the air control system. So this is what is in the inside. Well, this is what is at the back of a Hwam. So if you were going to take the back cover of the stove off, this is what you would see. The dial at the bottom is our air control. So this dial at the bottom is our air control, which is the same as this dial here. So when we have that to the right, it's open, and we have it to the left, it's closed. So right, open, left, closed. And what we're doing is we're affecting the amount of air that gets into the stove, as you can see. So that reduces down and this moves up. But what you're not seeing is this air control. This one isn't moving at all at the moment. This is your primary air and this is your secondary. So your secondary air is the air at the top that you're going to move, and the stove completely controls this one all by itself. So behind the baffle plate in this stove here, there is a biometallic coil, and this is the coil that's inside the stove. And as this heats up, this control is all going to move by itself. So the stove is controlling, the stove is controlling what it needs for its own air to make it far, far more efficient and more user-friendly, because you hardly need to do anything at all. Martin's going to put the blowtorch on that coil for me. And you'll start to see it fierce. So as we start to heat up that spring, you can already see this moving of its own accord. You'll see the lever is moving up. So it's opening the primary air, which is the air at the bottom. And as that cools down, which you won't when it's got a blowtorch on it, that will drop itself back down. That'll do work. We're at max at the minute. So you're controlling this bit, but if the stove doesn't have enough bottom air to combust and burn off your glasses cleanly, it will give itself more air to readjust and get a good clean burn. Yay! It's lovely now, isn't it? It's nice and hot. I know! I don't want to be in there. So basically, this is going to keep itself clean and do its own air control, and you hardly do anything to it at all. So you're adjusting the speed of the burn. But if the stove doesn't think it's got enough air to burn itself off efficiently, and as your pile of fuel gets low and the chimney cools, it's going to give itself more air to burn itself back off. So initially we want it nice and high, and then once you've adjusted its burn control and turned it down a bit, the stove will auto-correct its own levels to give it the most efficient burn. And that can save you as much as 40% fuel consumption, because you're not fiddling with it. So you're hardly ever going to see anything. So you get it up to heat, you can turn it to minimum if you like, which is perfectly good on these, and then it is down to how many logs you put in the door. If logs were £5 notes, how many would you burn? You only burn what you need, because nobody wants to burn £15 if you can only burn £5. So as long as you have a hot red ember bed, if you only need one log, only burn one log. 2 logs will give you more heat, but less fuel, you see more fire because you have more airbox space and better combustion because it can burn off the gases within that space better. So it's not about as big a firebox as possible. It's not about burning as many logs as possible for the fire view. It's about burning as little as possible, but as efficiently as possible. And if you have no red ember left, you need 2 logs. But if you have plenty of red ember, you can get away with 1 log. It's literally that simple. So I can start to smell the paint in here. Yeah, I can start to smell the paint going off. It's getting a bit painty. But if we come outside, That is not even up to temperature yet, but you see, we can see no smoke coming out of that flue because our gases are getting nice and hot and up to temperature. And this here is an anti-downdraft kettle. It's called a round top anti-downdraft kettle. And actually they've got stays on here, which is quite nice to see. So this is a set of roof stays and a round top anti-downdraft kettle so it can't push the smoke back down the chimney. Lighting and reduces wind noise. And you see the flue on there. Oops, what's the best angle? So that looks like it's about a 40-degree pitch, and because there's only got the one bracket on the inside, we've got roof stays on there to stabilise it.
Yeah.
We do have a as well, because that's really good.
Yeah.
But that's cleaning down in the inside now. It's not far off up to temperature on the inside, although it will take a bit longer to get the flue gas up to temperature. But you can see that it's burning nice and clean. So when that is up to heat and the flues, the glass and the insides are nice and clean, which they are now, we can turn down this air control. And then the stove, if it's not hot enough or the chimney's not hot enough, well, in a minute or two, as soon as that biometallic strip gets to the right temperature, that'll just regulate itself and go on to a rolling burn. And you just never need to touch it. It's much a case of open the door and put a log in as and when required. It looks lovely from back there, doesn't it?
It's looking very happy. Look at that.
It's lovely, isn't it?
They give you a good all-round fire view. That's the thing, that wherever you're not getting the best of it in this daylight, but wherever you sit in the room, even if you're over the other side of the kitchen, you can still see that fire in the corner when you walk in. Wherever you are, stunning. They are lovely. And that's burning really nice and clean. And it's just, that'll get up to temperature later and then the paint will all go off. Well, thanks for having me and let me have a look.